Wow. Hello. Hello, hidden gems. Wow, wow, wow. I was just making a joke last week, John, that you never know what you're going to get with Lori because it's always unpredictable when you go to these trials. We're the third trial in, and I cannot believe what I just witnessed this morning in what was supposed to be voir dire of the jurors. Let me set the stage. And everybody, if you're new here, I'm Lauren Matthias. This is my husband, Dr. John Matthias, a clinical and forensic psychologist, also known as a criminal psychologist. What I just witnessed inside the courtroom, only 14 people were in there. I was one of them. While we watched Lori Vallow have a bit of a meltdown from a wheelchair, playing the victim, attempting to delay her trial. And so we have John here, who has been watching and observing Lori now for nearly 6 years. So we're going to break this down together. Thank you for everyone that's here. And this is an unusually timed live. But I thought I'd be in court right now. So 3 p.m. opening statements were scheduled, by the way. I should be in court right now. It's almost 3. It's 10 to 3. Oh, no. I'm here doing a live with you. So we walk in, not a lot of room, like I said, because they're keeping room for the potential jurors to come in for Lori to question them. We know that Lori was probably sick on Friday. One by one, we walk in and we realize that we've come in a little bit behind, that like maybe 1 minute of stuff has happened before we arrived in there. We have the full video. You can go watch the full video on our channel, but we'll also have it linked in the description of this episode. But then this is the first thing that we hear the judge state once we're in the courtroom. Take a listen to this, and I'll tell you what I was thinking, since this is the first thing I heard.
I'm your trial judge. My instructions are to complete your second trial. So even if for some reason your sickness worsened and we weren't able to complete this trial and had to declare a mistrial of this trial, even if this case got delayed into June or July or August to be reset, I'd still be your trial judge.
I'll be honest. Last week, a lot of people were suggesting that Lori was being strategic, and I gave her the benefit of the doubt. And I thought, no, she's probably just sick. If she's representing herself, she can't question potential jurors, and she'll be back. The moment I heard the judge say that, before I'd heard anything else, that was the first thing we heard inside that courtroom. And the moment I heard him say that, I thought, she is being strategic. See, she is being strategic. Everyone was right. Like, that was my initial thought. And I'm like, she is attempting to delay her trial. But sorry, you guys are here for John, not me. What did you think when I sent you that clip and you watched this whole thing?
When you say that with Lori, you never know what you're going to get, it reminds me a little bit of Forrest Gump. I think Lori is like the Forrest Gump of murder defendants. Like, every day is a different experience. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what version of Lori you're going to get, but you know it's going to be interesting. So like, I think what the judge said is interesting at a lot of levels, but I think most importantly, it shows that the judge knows what's going on here. Like, if there's a question about, between you and I or our listeners about whether she's being strategic or manipulative or right, like, the judge is answering that question. The judge is telling you that he doesn't believe her and she's trying to manipulate him. Like, she's trying to pull a fast one, and the judge is saying, look, you put in these motions to get rid of me. You've tried everything to get rid of me. Now you're like plain sick, right? Now you're like, and also like he's assessing her nonverbals. Like, she doesn't sound super sick. And you could tell that he doesn't believe her because he's like, well, what are your symptoms? Right? He's like, what are your like? It's like when you have a kid. You and I know this. Like it's when you have a kid who doesn't want to go to school, and you're like, what are your symptoms? Right? He's, well, I got a headache. Okay, but you don't have a fever, right? So like, the judge is doing a version of that. Like it's like a kid. He's dealing with a kid. Like, what are your symptoms? Oh, I've got a headache. She says I've got nausea, chills, a fever, and I can't eat. So she's basically describing the symptoms of, let's say, stomach flu or food poisoning, maybe. I don't know. Like
/ COVID though, because then she's like, I'm eating citrus. I'm eating all the
COVID.
citrus. I'm like, you don't eat citrus if you have a stomach bug. Wouldn't that, like, don't add more acid to your stomach?
Yeah,
You either have COVID or a stomach flu. That was a moment for me. I'm like, wait, you're what? You're eating citrus?
That's true. She could be playing the COVID card because that would get her a lot of mileage. That would definitely, the COVID card might get her excused for, months.
But she had a mask in her hand. You couldn't see her. So let me tell you, she was holding a mask in her hand, not putting it on. Never once said, I'm worried about getting potential jurors sick. She was just like, I'm so sick. I can't do this. Woe is me. Not
Right.
worried about the potential jurors' time at all. In fact, there was one moment where she really was twisty and the judge was caring about the potential jurors. He's like, can we look? And we'll hear about this a little bit more later on. But he said, can't we just question some jurors with you just introducing yourself, just that first basic part to maybe get rid of half of them so they can move on with their lives? And her response was, Judge, no, I just can't disappoint people. I can't. I have to. I'll feel so bad if I can't show up for them Wednesday. I don't know. It was very weird, but you're right. The judge from that moment, that statement is telling us he doesn't believe her and he thinks that she has a motive, which she does have a motive. She has a motive. And that is that she doesn't want Judge Boreski.
We know she has a motive because she's filed multiple motions and she's tried to get rid of him repeatedly. So clearly she has a motive. She's played that card and it's failed. And now here she is super sick. Right. And the judge doesn't believe, the judge calls her out basically as much as he can.
Yeah.
Judge basically says, well, you can delay it. You can play sick. You can pretend like, I don't know. Like in fairness, maybe she is sick, right? I don't know. You were there. Did you have the sense that she was sick?
Guys, I really do feel like I give people the benefit of the doubt. I did on Friday. I'll be honest, even though people were suggesting she was strategic, I didn't think so. I really didn't. But the moment the judge said that, and then seeing her antics in the courtroom, I absolutely think she's being manipulative. Could she be sick? Sure. But to not be able to move from her wheelchair to her chair, for her just to for the basics of jury selection, for her not to say, okay, let's try in 2 days, maybe I'll be feeling better. And her adamant attitude that wasn't okay. She was trying to get her trial delayed, for her to keep saying, I deserve to represent myself. I cannot move forward. Trying not to move forward at all this week. If I was severely sick and I wanted to move forward, I would say, you know what, you're right. Maybe I'll be better Wednesday. Maybe I'll be better. What should I do? How can I get testing done? How can we move forward? She was just that child that did not want to go to school, sitting in a wheelchair, leaning like this, shaking like she was gonna, it was so over the top, shaking with her mask, looking down, cry, like the crocodile tears again. She didn't cry when her husband died, nor in court when she's being tried. What?
The wheelchair, by the way, was a nice touch. Like that's if you're gonna play sick, I guess you might as well bring out a wheelchair. Like you might as well pull out all the stops. That's like a hell of a prop if you're gonna be sick, right?
Well, and she wouldn't get out of it. That's the thing too. He said,
right. So she wouldn't get out of it.
She would not get out of it because then the judge thought, look, let's bring the potential jurors in. I want everyone to stay here. I want both the defense and the I want both the defense and the prosecution to be here when the potential jurors come in. So could we please put Lori in a seat for just a minute? And by the way, guys, these seats in the Maricopa County Courthouse are cozy. Like it is, they're the softest chairs I've ever sat on in a courtroom. It is awesome. It's like lazy boys for everyone. And her chair looks cushioned to me. So could you just move from the wheelchair so we don't have, it was funny, so we don't have MCSO on the back of a giant wheelchair so we can all be here. And she was like, I just can't. I'm sick. I'm like, so you'd rather go back to your cell within your cement block than this cush chair here for just a little bit longer? So because she refused to get in her wheelchair, everybody had to leave. Like the state, they couldn't stay there. And so everybody had to leave, and the judge had to greet the potential jurors alone, which he started by saying, I am embarrassed to tell you this, and this has never happened in all of my career. That's actually how the judge started with, we can't see that part. You don't see that part. They cut out the part.
You said that?
Where when voir dire is happening, there's no cameras allowed. It's just completely private. So once the potential jurors came in, he said, I am embarrassed to tell you this. In fact, here, what did I have let me see if I wrote down the exact notes. Let's see here. Yeah, jurors come in. He's embarrassed. Never has this happened in my entire career. We will not be able to resume today until Wednesday. Lori didn't want Wednesday. And then he said that, look, he's so embarrassed that maybe he can get them all donuts at one point. And they all chuckled. Well, some of them chuckled. Some of them were pretty mad. And then juror 4 got to take off to camp.
No, there's a couple of moments where he wants her to move from the wheelchair, and she says the same thing. She says, I need to go lay down. Like she basically says, I can't maneuver to the chair because I am so sick. I need to lay down. I mean, I think the judge was just. We
have that part. You want to watch it? Let's watch that part. I'm so sick.
Okay.
I need to lay down. Or yeah, like I can't control this.
Is there a reason I couldn't proceed with some of the oral voir dire this morning? Because other than introducing herself, she wouldn't be expected to do anything this morning. And that way we can at least get rid of some of the jurors that, for whatever reason, would need to be excused.
Judge, my concern is she's in a wheelchair now.
Well, I would probably ask to have her sit in a regular seat and not be in a wheelchair that says MCSO across the back of it.
Your Honor, I am just not capable of going or even sitting here. I need to be laying down. I need to be getting better so that I can go forward and actually represent myself. I hope that I feel better this week and we can go forward. I can't give you any promises. I can't control any of this.
Want to keep going?
Well, if you play a little bit after that, you'll hear. So this is one of those rare moments where I don't know if you can pick it up on the audio, but the judge is so exasperated, you can hear his nonverbals. You can't see him. I guess you could see him, so you can tell us what he looked like. But
he was so over her. He was so over her. He was so irritated. You felt him losing control of his courtroom. Like he had no way out of this. Like you can't assume she's not sick and she has the right to represent herself. Like you could just, her huge size.
Yeah, if you can play a little bit past where she says, I can't control any of this. It's really fascinating because you can even with just audio, you can pick up on how frustrated he is. Like you'll hear the sighs, a bunch of sighs, and then there's a long silence. I mean, I couldn't see the judge. We didn't have the picture of the judge, but I was listening and I'm like, wow.
I could see the judge. This judge, as much as he gray rocks, and he's certainly gay rocks, and he's gray rocks, but he's very, very dry too. Like he's just sort of, he was so put out today. Put out is just, the sighs were real. The sighs were real. Yeah, we'll pull that up here in just a second. Here we go. Okay.
We can go forward. I can't give you any promises. I can't control any of this.
You can just hear her
Right.
thinking.
And he's pausing. He's not like, he's just done. He doesn't want to say something out of anger, you know. So, I mean, but there's a long silence there. Like, I don't know, it felt like minutes. It was probably less than that, but your audio.
It was very intense inside the courtroom. He was audibly disappointed. Put out is the best way, I think, to explain it. Just, are you kidding me? Exhausted. Just, he, as you point out, he didn't believe her. He pointed out her motive. And let me explain too why her motive is so real too. During the pretrial hearings, when they were setting the date for this trial, he was very specific. The judge was very specific that, like, if they didn't move forward by a certain date, then he might not be able to be the trial judge. This was before she attempted to recuse him multiple times. Like, so he had said, I think that she took that and ran with it. So that happened in the pretrial. As they were setting this trial date, one of the questions was, if we wait too long, I won't be able to be your trial judge. Again, this was months and months ago. So, like, I think she's hung on to that now because she's tried to recuse him so many times. The court's going to make sure he's her trial judge now.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
whether
right.
that
She's
means,
going to get,
yeah.
she's working against the very outcome she's trying to achieve, right? The goal she's trying to achieve. The other thing is that little statement about need to be laying down and I can't control any of that. We've seen this so much with Lori, but that's a reminder of, I talk about some of the psychological elements that we see with Lori, and one of those is this victim mentality, right? And you see it there, right? It's prominent there when she says, I can't control any of this, right? She's crying, these elements that we see with Lori just keep cropping up over and over again. Sometimes she's really defiant and aggressive and angry, right? That's when she's kind of more in this antisocial or this more narcissistic mode. But here she's more in this victim mode or this victim mentality. And you see the deceitfulness, right? You see the manipulation, the manipulativeness. You see there's also, let's think about this. There's this tremendous lack of empathy because you're wasting all of the jurors' time. You're wasting the court's time, right? She doesn't care what the jurors think. She doesn't care what the judge thinks. Like, she's expending all these resources for the jury, for the judge, for the prosecutor, for everyone, for her team. Like,
No,
there's no empathy. There's no consideration of anyone else in that courtroom at all.
for Brandon Boudreaux and his wife Jenny, who are sitting,
right?
They were sitting in the courtroom. They were sitting there. They waited 6 years for justice, sitting there. And but this is the part that does bother me. She twists it. She's so manipulative. Grayson, if you could, like, play this part where it's right before the disappointed. It starts earlier where he says, look, can we move forward with the beginning of Wadir? And then her response. Can I just play this and ask your thoughts, John? Because this is exactly what I get. She's not showing any empathy, yet she pretends that she's so giving. It's so manipulative. Listen to this.
All right, I think I do need to bring the jurors in to tell them something. So can we have Ms. Daybell sit in a regular chair and not and bring the wheelchair out into the hallway?
Yeah.
I don't think that I can even sit here. I need to go lay down. I don't understand. I don't think last time you said it was going to be 15 minutes. It was an hour and a half where I was sitting here trying not to throw up on TV in front of the jurors.
Which maybe we could, all of us leave and they could come in and just speak with you.
That's fine.
I've had that happen before where none of the parties are here and the court just advises that we're unable to.
Okay.
Your Honor,
today?
I don't know about you rescheduling this for Wednesday. It puts a lot of pressure on me to be better and ready for Wednesday. And if I'm not, I don't like to disappoint people. I don't like putting people out of their way, all the jurors and all these things, and all the pressure is on me. That's not going to help me get any better anytime soon.
So did you hear how she twisted that? She is putting everybody out in that room, and then they're just saying, if you could just get into the chair at this moment. And she's saying, I don't like to disappoint people. I don't like to put people out, as Brandon Boudreaux is sitting right behind her.
Well, again, it's this victim mentality. She constantly resorts to kind of that stance of being the victim. You know, yeah, right. She says that, but then she doesn't mean it. Like, clearly, I don't, and again, I don't, maybe she is so sick that she can't she can't maneuver from her wheelchair into a real chair. But I mean, I don't, she doesn't sound that way. She doesn't sound that way. And clearly the judge isn't buying it. The judge sees her, he's listening to her, he's assessing her. You're in there, you're looking at the nonverbals. Like, this doesn't seem someone who's like on their deathbed, right? Like, he's not buying any of it. Like, sure, he's frustrated and he wants to get this thing over with, but like, ultimately he thinks that this is clearly a manipulation.
Yeah. And that another thing he said, again, at this moment, he's not even saying you have to move forward with it all today. He's realizing she can't question the jurors. He's saying, could you just get into your chair to bring the potential jurors in? And she's so dramatic too. Oh, and then I'll just throw up all over the TV in front of everyone. You know, that's just so, that's the child making sick. That's like, the dog ate my homework. Like, really? This is where this is going to go? Like, you've got a barf bag that you're holding. You can't throw up in the barf bag. Like, I am going to throw up in front of on the TV in front of everyone.
Maybe she's got it wrong. Maybe that would give her some points with the jury. Maybe she should move forward, right? If she's sick and, you know, play the victim card. I don't know. But I mean, she clearly resorts to this victim role a lot. It's one of her favorite postures.
Yeah. And again, I want to point out she has motive now. I think the reason why I didn't think it was strategic is because I simply didn't understand her motive. But the motive became very clear the moment we walked into the courtroom and Judge Boreski stated, I am your trial judge, whether we move forward or not. And then she just went into just, you know, dramatic refusal to even get into a cushion seat. And it's all because she doesn't like to put people out or disappoint people, she said. Interesting. So always a victim. Always a victim. Yeah, the judge was not happy. In fact, we have another Judge Boreski zinger. We have a few of them. We thought Are You Done, Lori, was pretty good, but should we listen to Judge Boreski's latest zinger? I'll tell you what's going on in the courtroom after he said that.
Well, what is your suggestion?
I don't know, but I'm saying so tomorrow, if I'm not better and I let my team know, are you going to drag me in here like you did today with the team that came to get me? Do you know they felt so sorry for me to have to get dragged out of bed to be here?
Yeah, the answer is yes. I probably will order that you be here Wednesday. We'll take tomorrow off. Because I need to confirm how you're feeling. You because you represent yourself, no one else can waive your own appearance.
You're welcome to come over to the jail and come to my cell and see how I'm doing in there.
All right, I'll take a pass on that.
This judge isn't playing. He's done. He's all right. I'll take a pass on that. I love it.
Like
Yeah.
it was so dry though. It was so dry. Just like,
Oh my gosh.
okay, I'll take a pass on that. Thanks.
It
It was
doesn't-
like,
it sounds like he's being kind of. There's definitely some anger in there though too. Like,
Yeah.
just leave me alone, right? Leave me alone.
Like,
I'm taking a pass on that. Let's get this thing done, right? He's so over it.
I was in the back row in my favorite aisle spot, and when he said that, honestly, there's only 14 people in there. I'm trying to be very respectful. I always try to be very respectful court attendee, and when he said that, I started to giggle, and I had to bend over and put my hand in my lap just to like. I couldn't get
Right.
to have been in
Yeah.
there. To have been in there.
Journalistic neutrality and ethics, right? Like,
I think we have a new Matthias singer. I think I'm going to use this for a lot of things now. All right. I'll take a pass on that. It's going to be our new.
yeah, that's somebody who's really frustrated. The other the other part of that, going back to what she says before, I think is equally interesting. A couple of things, just paying attention to her language. She says, tomorrow, if I'm going to paraphrase a little here, but tomorrow, if I'm not better, are you going to drag me in here today? She says, drag. Like, it sounds like the jail's gone medieval on her. Like they're grabbing her hair and dragging her in to court. Like, she's using these drag, right? I mean, obviously nobody dragged her in, but that's the language she's using. And then she says that, and then she says the team that dragged her in, quote, felt so sorry for me. And then she uses dragged again. She says, they felt so sorry for me that they had to drag me out of bed to be here. So apparently there were two draggings. There was the dragging her into court and the dragging her out of bed. So she got dragged. She got dragged twice. It's a two dragger. It's a two dragger. So
she just gets dragged everywhere, but she's inviting Judge Bressy, but come on in, come hang out.
Right. If you don't want to see me dragged out of bed, then you got to come down and, pay me a visit. Let's do breakfast. Let's do breakfast in jail. Right. So,
well, she's great. You can come down. He's like, yeah, I'll take
I know,
a pass.
she's in tears. But the team, so again, getting back to this victim mentality, the team felt so sorry. She says, the team felt so sorry for me. Right? Why aren't you feeling sorry? She's appealing to the judge. She's apparently appealing to his emotions or his empathy about, why aren't you? She's expecting the same response. Like, why aren't you feeling sorry for me? I think she really thought she was going to bring her dog and pony show. She was going to bring her little sick show into court, and the judge is going to be like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for you, even though you've tried to dismiss me 8 times or whatever. Like, even though you've like belittled me and disparaged me and like manipulated me endlessly for the last several months, like, I'm gonna sit here and feel sorry for you. That's
right. He's like, no thanks.
That's what she thinks.
I'll take a pass on that. I'll take a pass on that. I'm not gonna feel sorry for you. We're good.
He's not taking a pass on that. He should. I wish he had said, that's a hard pass.
It's a hard no.
That's a hard no. That's a full stop. Hard no. Pass. I am not going to show up for breakfast at your jail cell to assess your health.
That's a no in all caps. He said that too when looking at potential jurors. He's like, this one's yelling at me in all caps. So let's excuse that one.
Right. Yeah. Let's take a pass on that one.
Yeah. Oh, geez. A question here from someone to you. Thought it was a good one. Thank you, everyone. Someone asks, where did it go? 2 question mark. Well, I thought I saved it. Oh, here we go. How would you, Dr. Jan, have handled her if she, oh, it's just, how would you handle her if she stays sick? I'm kind of curious how you would have handled her today too, or maybe you don't know. We didn't ask you to analyze that.
Well, I think the judge has a dilemma. He has to move this trial forward. He doesn't believe her. He thinks she's faking it, right? She's malingering. So, I mean, ultimately, I think I don't know how far he can go with this, but I think he should have ordered some, or maybe he doesn't want to know. Maybe if she has COVID, maybe he doesn't want to know that. But at a minimum, I think they should do some basic measurements of like fever, right temperature, just assess her health and try to figure out if she's malingering. And it gives the judge more ammunition if she's not running a fever, if she seems to be fine, right? Like, then I think it gives him a little more leverage in terms of forcing her or ordering her to comply and to show up Wednesday. Otherwise, I don't think he's going to get a lot of movement. I think Wednesday, my guess is you might see the same presentation. Your audio.
Yeah, I think we might see that Wednesday. I mean, if she's on a quest to do this until she gets a trial delay, we'll see this again on Wednesday. By the way, someone's reminding me that she told Melanie to play sick to Brandon. That's true. We have those texts. She said, I need you with me. And she said, tell Brandon you're sick. So,
the problem the judge has here is if you're dealing with a child, let's say let's use our analogy of like trying to get your child doesn't want to go to school and they're clearly malingering, they're faking it. There's no fever, right? Like, the problem the judge has, he's going to have a clash of wills, right? Like the more he tries to get her to comply, the more she's going to resist. The sicker she's going to get, the worse the headache's going to get, right? Like if you're dealing with a child, at some point you just have to say these are the rules and this is what you're going to do. And I guess he kind of did that today, but at some point he's going to have to lay down the law and be a little stricter or sterner with her because he's got to get this thing moving.
I mean, how can you be though? Because she could always appeal and say she was sick and he wasn't fair. I mean, I think his saying to her, I'm going to be your trial judge, whether you like it or not, whether it's now or later, was his way of saying that to her.
Right.
But yeah, what do you do if this continues on and on and on? What if she does this next year? What if she does this in 6 months? What if she does this in 3 months? I mean, how long do you let this?
Well, that's where you need to enlist the help of some medical personnel to assess her or to evaluate her, tomorrow maybe. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure what they can do. I'm not sure how far the judge can go with that, but I mean, even so, even if you do that and there's apparently nothing wrong, she can still argue that she's sick, right? Because there's arguably there's always going to be something subjective about illness and pain, right? And so she can play this card as much and as long as she wants, I assume. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I think you're definitely going to get a major clash of kind of wills and personalities here. So stay tuned, buckle your seatbelt because this is going to get interesting.
Is this the equivalent of feigning incompetency? Because I've always thought personally that she was malingering with that whole
Yeah.
being incompetent in Idaho for months. Is this the same deal? Is this the same old song and dance?
It's a version of it. Yeah, it's definitely, yes, that's a really good observation. I think you could say this is a version of competency. Competency would be at a higher level than this, but she can't play the competency card at this point
Right.
because she's representing herself.
Correct.
Right? Like she's already, in fact, she's had to represent herself. She's had to rule that out. She's had to argue that she never was she kind of argued that she never really was incompetent. That was just mistakes made by evaluators, right? And forensic people like myself that got it all wrong, that she was never really incompetent. So she can't play that card. But yes, I think this is a version of that, just at a lower level. And it's an interesting dilemma because, again, like there's always going to be an element of subjectivity to illness.
Yeah. Right.
So
right.
So I don't know how far she's going to, like, how she can go a long way with this. I think I don't know. We'll find out.
I think she can too. She could go a really long way with this. And she refuses to waive her right to a speedy trial, but somehow she is capable every time to prolong a trial for months. In Idaho, it was incompetency, which she now claims Arizona, she never was incompetent. And now she has COVID flu bug that needs citrus.
I'm just reading the comment that she's gonna come in a stretcher. I think I think taking bets would be interesting, but I can't condone that. So, but I mean, yeah, I think everything from a wheelchair to a stretcher to, like, is she going to come in an iron lung because she can't breathe? Like, how bad is this thing going to get? Right? Like, I don't know.
How long is she going to be physically ill for? I know.
She going to come in and, is she going to come in and, like, on a respirator? I don't know. Like, she could.
I know.
It's crazy.
She just doesn't want to put people out, though, heaven forbid, but she just needs to lay down.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's also, the other thing that's going on here is, and again, this is sort of like the child situation, but it is a way for her to assert control over the proceedings, yes. Right? She's now in control of when this trial is going to start. She's delayed it, right? She's literally usurped control of this courtroom from the judge. And I think that's one of the reasons he's so frustrated, because, and you have to say, wow, that's an incredible sleight of hand. Like, wow, I can't believe she did that. The judge, and I think that, by the way, is why the judge wanted to move forward today. He's like, you're going to do this, right? And she's like, no, I'm not. I can't get out of my wheelchair, right? Like, it's probably not a good look to have, like 3 or 4 bailiffs move her from her wheelchair.
Don't touch the rack belt.
Right. Then she legitimately might have a lawsuit against the state, right? So, but then she'll really play the victim card. But yeah, just when you thought this couldn't get any crazier, like, you have a situation now that I think you potentially have an impasse here that I don't see having any resolution whatsoever.
Yeah. You're absolutely right that she's in control. She had lost control. The judge took back control. She tried to recuse the judge over and over again. She is trying to file motions over and over. He rejects, denies, rejects, or overrules, I should say, makes rulings, overrules. And she's angry, and this is a way she is asserting control. You're right. She is taking the control back. That alone, I think, is motive enough for her. So as the judge says to her, I'm your trial judge, whether you like it or not, she still has motive. And that's, taking control back into her hand. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, yeah, right. All the things that we've seen in Lori, they're playing out again and again with her representing herself by pulling this little stunt today, right? Like it's her need for control, her deceitfulness, her manipulativeness, like all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, if anybody has any questions for John, go ahead and leave them in chat. I know you have to leave soon, but it was wild. I'll tell you that. And to put this many, men and women, on hold, their lives on hold, except for juror 4 who got to go camping. That
was one of my favorite moments, by the way. So tell me a little bit about juror 4. Has juror 4 been picked already? Is juror 4 impaneled? Is that because that kind of came? I have no context for that. Do you have that? Do you have that quote? It's like,
yeah, we'll play it here. Here you go. One second. Getting it. Sorry. Okay, here we go.
My schedule, we could start at 10 on Wednesday.
Oh, I don't know if I have the right.
Let me check Judge Kemp's courtroom schedule.
We're looking. Okay, we'll get it. But juror 4, yeah, let me set context while I find the right time code. So, yeah, let me give context. Yeah, he said everybody needs to come back except for juror 4 who wanted to go camping. So all of these people have been pre-screened for time, having the ability to have time for a trial. But we have a lot of people. Oh, do we have it now? Okay, here we go. Let's watch it.
And I know we have at least one juror that we will have to excuse who was going camping on Friday.
Juror number 4, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Okay, let me explain.
I don't really have the context, but when I heard that, I thought, what? It sounds like this courtroom is like a Club Med. Like, you on Thursday, you're going to have the jury duty experience. And then on Friday, you're going to go you're going to get to go camping in Sedona. And then on Saturday, if you thought that was good, on Saturday, you're going to get the guided tour of the Grand Canyon. And then on Monday, you're going to come back for jury duty and have the jury duty experience. I'm like, what is going on in this courtroom?
Okay, let me explain. We have how many left? How many potential jurors? A lot. But that's why only 12 of us can sit in the courtroom today. 52 to 55. So they brought them in. So we don't even have a jury seated. So we were going to do that on Friday. They all come in and Lori's saying she's sick. And everyone's like, oh, be careful. And nobody else gets sick. And so they all have to go home and the judge apologizes and says, you can all come back Monday. But he does say, is there anybody here who can't make it back? And all these hands raised, which also the judge was really put out by. He's like, it never ceases to amaze me after they left, how you can put all these questions about if they have time for this and they still don't put that they can't make it Monday. So a lot of people couldn't make it Monday, but there was one guy who said, I can make it Monday, but I have a problem with Friday. And they said, well, we don't think we're going to have court on Friday, so you're good. And now they're saying, we are going to have court on Friday. Let's let the guy go camping because we don't know if he's going to be a juror or not. He's been here for 3 days. He's answered the questions. So let's let that one dude go. We've got 51 potential jurors left. So
that's the guy who had to go camp, who was going to go camping.
Yeah. So he was saying he would be willing. Like, Friday was supposed to be a dark day. So he was good. He had been screened for time, but now that they're deciding to make Friday a court day, which is a bummer because I thought we'd have it off and I could, see you. But now that they're saying we have to have court on Friday, it's like the snow day that never was. We got to use it this extra day. He had plans to go camping, so he gets excused.
Well, you can jump on the the judge's Club Med camping experience with in Sedona with the other jurors or something. I mean, I don't. Okay,
but he
I
had
get it.
something scheduled. It's not his fault. The
I
court
get it. Yeah, it makes more sense. It just
makes more sense.
It sounded funny. Like
the jurors are going camping. They're having
right. The jurors are going to go
prayer
deliberate.
circles and singing
They're going to deliberate
Kumbayas.
camp. Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
In
It sounds
Sedona.
like, if you don't know what's going on, it sounds like a juror retreat. No, it's just more so saying like he said he was embarrassed. But tell me about that. That was an interesting choice of words. He's embarrassed. Is that because he's lost some control? He's brought the jurors in twice.
Well, yeah, right. Yes. I mean, I'm sure that's part of it. Is the judge's, biggest role is to maintain, impartiality, first of all, and to, have a certain amount of decorum and order in the courtroom and to move things along, right? To stay on schedule, right? And he's losing a lot of that. He's accountable to the jury and their time, right? He's accountable to everyone in the courtroom, and he's if he hasn't lost it, he's on the cusp of losing it. So, when she comes in Wednesday morning, there's going to be some fireworks. It's going to be really interesting because I don't see a lot of movement on her part.
Yeah. And I'll be there Wednesday. I know. Well, especially if she's in a stretcher, there'll hardly be any movement.
If she's in a stretcher, then I forget the name of the person, the viewer you put up, but she'll win the bet. So
yeah, she'll win the bet.
We'll have to make sure that we give a shout out to the winner.
This is what Judge Boreski said off camera. But in the courtroom, we were there, that all the potential jurors come in and he has to give them the news. He has to give them the news that Lori's taking control of his courtroom. And he says that he's embarrassed and never has he had this happen in his entire career. And we won't be able to resume until Wednesday. And then excuse juror 4 to go camping.
I assume he's been on the bench for a while. I mean, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing, right? Like he's never lost control of his courtroom like this until, of course, but he's never run into the buzzsaw that is Lori Vallow Daybell. So there's
I know.
that.
I wish he'd just remind her that she's a translated being. I wish he would just say, but you're translated. You don't get sick.
Right.
Help me explain that. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. She shouldn't get sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless she's turned dark. So a couple of things here. I saw people have been mentioning that Colby's already shared his thoughts on this. We have not seen that. So thank you to those that have shared. Colby has shared something. He says that Colby said earlier that Lori is afraid to confront Brandon. Do you think this could be a factor?
Yes.
That was a little.
I mean, I think it's a factor, but I think when you look at the bigger picture, when you put all the pieces together, she's lost repeatedly to this judge. She wants this judge out of the picture. She's failed at that. Like it's a combination of things. I mean, sure, the problem she has with Brandon is he survived. So there's got to be shame in confronting someone you tried to murder and they lived. Everyone else they murdered, but not Brandon. So I'm sure there's some level of shame there.
Yeah.
And Lori's not someone who does shame very well. So I don't think she wants to confront. And we saw that with Kay Woodcock, right? That during Charles's trial, that Kay was assertive, and she really didn't. She wasn't very confrontational with Kay. She was very kind of passive in a way, and so um, I think with Brandon, you may see that at a higher level. So yeah, I'm sure that's part of this. Is she doesn't she I don't think she ever imagined that this trial would occur, and now that it's here, now that we're on the doorstep of this trial, and it's real, this is what you've got. This is what we're getting. Is this malingering? I mean, this probable malingering,
Alleged
this
malingering,
alleged malingering that she seems to be engaging in.
speculative malingering.
Yeah,
You guys decide for yourselves. And some people are saying, hey, maybe she's sick. You know what? Maybe she is, but I'll say this. If I was sick, I would be asking for medication. I would be asking for tests. I would be wearing my mask to make sure others around me didn't get sick. I would be apologizing. I would be saying I could probably feel better by Wednesday. I would ask for maybe additional medical care. I would say that what I think could help me feel better. I wouldn't threaten throwing up on a TV and then, refusing to get in a chair. I'm just saying, our speculating is fair.
and also I think to me the best evidence that she's not sick is the judge.
Right.
The judge clearly does not. The judge
Does not believe her.
undeniably believes that she's malingering. The judge is not buying this. He's
Right.
never seen this in his, 20 years
Career.
of
Yeah.
on the bench. Right. Like everything about this to the judge looks wrong. It looks fake. So to me, like without even assessing, without knowing, if you don't know anything about Lori, like just the judge's reaction in and of itself is strong evidence that she is faking this.
Yeah, right. There is evidence that shows she is faking it and past representation of what she's done too. Right. Give this person some Dayquil and get on with it. You know what I mean? But she's eating citrus for that stomach bug.
No, she said she can't. I think she said she can't keep citrus down is what she said, didn't she?
Oh, is that what she said? Why is she eating it? Oh,
no, she's not. She said she can't eat it.
No, she said she's been eating oranges and broth. Oranges and broth.
Oh, I thought she said okay, yeah.
And she can't keep the citrus down.
She couldn't keep it down, yeah.
Well, she's trying to eat oranges and broth. That's her answer. Yeah. Right. It's wild. I know you have to run. There are a few questions here. Everyone, thank you for the generosity for the gifted memberships and the kindness. Right. So, Nikki's and Peaches is saying in Florida, Sarah Boone lost the right to represent herself because of her behavior. Could that happen to Lori? I guess it could, right? I mean, if she keeps this up, we've asked how long would this last?
Yeah.
I think at some point, if they prove she's not sick,
right.
No fever.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, again, you've got like a clash of wills, and the judge, I think he wants to give her the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, absolutely. They could revoke that privilege, but I don't think he wants to give her any ammunition, though. He doesn't want to give her like anything she could use on appeal, or I don't know. It's a really delicate situation.
Yeah.
But yes, if it gets to the point of absurdity, I assume in Arizona, I don't know Arizona law, but I assume he could revoke her right to self-representation and appoint someone, or at least have someone on her team. I don't know anything. He could have someone on her team proceed, because they have to, at some point, you have to have the trial.
You're right. I do wonder if they can force testing in the prison too for viral fever, for anything before Wednesday. It's a great question.
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering that too. The judge didn't seem to order it, but yeah, I don't know. Good
and
question.
And they're asking, how long does she think she has to stall? Well, how long did she say how long did she stall in Idaho? Months and months.
Yeah.
She was deemed
6 months.
incompetent to stand trial. 6 months. 6 months. It's pretty crazy. Honey Maid is saying narcissistic injury can manifest as physical illness. Yes. Or maybe Brandon's darkness overpowered her translated status. I don't know. Or narcissistic injury can manifest as pretend illness too. So
Yeah.
all right. Okay. Well, you have to run. I might stay on a little bit longer and just answer
Okay.
some more questions and tell people what I saw in trial and save some more questions for you when they show up. So I know you've got to run.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Thanks, babe. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Yep.
I don't know.
Glad
Maybe
to
I'll be
join
home.
you.
Maybe I'll be home sooner than you know it. So
Yeah. You might be right. You might be heading back Wednesday when the trial gets delayed.
yeah. All right. Okay. We'll see you, babe.
Okay. Bye.
Hey, everyone. I'm just going to look at some of your messages. Also, did everybody see the motions that came down? Because we can also go over those again. There were a bunch of motions that came down, the rulings this morning by Judge Boreski in the state, sort of denying Lori the motions she requested over and over again. If you could, let me know if you guys want me to go over those again, or if you saw those on my earlier morning live, and I will look at what questions you guys might have. And that's true. Keith Morrison was exhausted just a few minutes of interviewing her. How exhausted the judge must feel. Oh, okay. Let's see. Lauren, oh, they denied her again. Lauren, was she truly shaking or fake shaking? She was shaking. I can't get inside her mind, but like, you guys, I wish, she was like going like this, and then hiding. Right? I don't know. Does it look like I'm faking it? You guys tell me. I mean, I haven't seen her look this upset in court, except for the days she didn't want to see her children's autopsy pictures. But even then, when they made her sit in the courtroom, she pouted. She didn't shake. I haven't seen her this upset at her sentencing. This is my third trial of Lori's I've attended. I've seen them all. I've never seen her more dramatic in a courtroom than she was today. As somebody that has sat through every day of all of her trials, so take that for what it's worth. Never a more dramatic Lori in the courtroom than today. Angry. I've seen her angry in a courtroom before. We've seen that with Judge Boreski. Saying kind of crazy things at her sentencing. Saw that at her sentencing. Seen her interviews, wild interviews. Have I seen her so dramatic in a courtroom before? Never until today. I mean, bending down, shaking, holding her mask, holding her bag, crying, talking almost like, did you hear her talk right before the judge said, I'm going to pass on that. All right, I'll pass on that. She was talking in some very dramatic, I'm not okay words. And honestly, now that the licensed psychologist isn't here, I can say I think she's malingering, and I thought she was malingering when it came to her incompetence in Idaho. She seems to want us all to forget that she was ever incompetent. So I think she knows, she doesn't have to worry that that's probably not accurate. And she wants to represent herself now. She has made it very clear she is competent. But now all of a sudden she's so physically sick, she can't even sit in a cushioned chair and say, hi, my name is Lori Vallow Daybell to the jurors, potential jurors. I do realize she is gaining control. She lost control of Judge Boreski, and this is her way to gain control. I feel that. I feel that. And she can't waive her right to a speedy trial because she won't ever do that. She's going to throw up all over the TV, but she doesn't like to disappoint people. Remember that. Lori Vallow Daybell, you heard it here first. She doesn't like to disappoint people. She also decided to say that in the courtroom while disappointing every single person there. And I realize I get it. We disappoint people when we are sick. That's fair. I don't like to disappoint people either, or my family. When I'm sick, I feel bad that I'm disappointing them. I don't think she feels bad. Yeah, are you going to drag me in on Wednesday? He says the answer is yes. The judge goes, the answer is yes. I will need you to bring everything. And yeah. And then she says, you're welcome to come into my cell. All right, I'll take a pass on that. Yeah, both the state and the prosecution left. Let's see. I'm reading what else I said. Anyway, we have the full video. I'll put a link to the full video. We have it here. We'll pin it in the chat too, so you guys can see that. It was short today, but it was, I don't know why I'm so shocked. I don't know why. I guess it's because we've just never seen her do it. We've heard it. We've heard about incompetency in Idaho. We've heard about her faking sick or feigning sick or taking, it's just, wow. All right. Yeah, I think that certainly she's going to be seeing a medical doctor. I assume what happens, only we will know later. So I'm sure that they'll be testing her Wednesday. There's probably a reason the judge didn't say tomorrow. And I am too. I'm very glad that the judge reminded her, look, I'm going to be your trial judge, whether we prolong this or not. But I think she is enjoying this control. It also gives her more time to work with Lonnie Dworkin, right? Like Lonnie Dworkin is who she wants as a witness to do a cell phone extraction of Charles's phone. She can try to get that done, even though nobody's been able to show what new evidence she'll get from that new extraction. She has the original phone extraction from in discovery already. But I think this is about control. That's my final thought. Whatever her motive, I think the ultimate reason is control. The judge has denied her again and again and again. He will not recuse himself, and she is taking back control. Good question from Michelle. I'll try to find it. I'm sorry, guys. I am missing a lot. I wonder if Melanie Gibb and Zulema Pestenis were served. I don't know. I don't know if she ever gave relevancy to them. She had curled hair today. Whether or not it was when she did it, I couldn't tell you. But yes, she had some curled hair. That was covering her face for the most part. Yeah, I think the people I felt the worst for is just think about Brandon and his wife are there. His wife, Jenny Boudreau. Brandon and Jenny Boudreau are there. They've been waiting for, 6 years. They've scheduled this out. I know that Kate Woodcock is in town. She was here for Brandon. She was going to be at opening statement. So many people have changed their schedules, including witnesses. Witnesses were being flown in tonight from out of state. And schedules had already been changed. Changing this entire trial put so many people out. So for Lori to say she doesn't like to put people out, she's going to put a lot of people out if she comes in on a stretcher on Wednesday. All right, guys, I will be there Wednesday. Absolutely. And you can go see this full 13-minute video of Lori today. It's sound video, teeny tiny video. It's from the court camera, as well as my morning lives about the motions, as well as my afternoon live just sort of shocked after the fact. And yeah. So we'll see you guys. Bye-bye.